Let me ask you something strange. What if saving money actually gets easier the more you save? Not harder, easier. Because here's what nobody tells you when you're scraping together your first $1,000 or your first $10,000. There's a number, a specific number, where everything about your relationship with money quietly shifts. And that number? It's around $200,000. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, I can barely save $200 a month, what are you talking about? Stay with me, because this isn't really about the number. It's about what happens inside your brain once you cross it. And understanding this could change how you think about every dollar you earn starting today. Most people think about saving money the wrong way. They think it's a straight line. Save $100, then $200, then $500. Every step forward feels the same size, like climbing a staircase where every step is equal height. So naturally, they think getting from $0 to $200,000 is just a really long staircase. Same effort, just more steps, more sacrifice, more skipping coffees and avoiding vacations. And that's exactly why most people never get there. Because they're playing the wrong game entirely. The truth is, wealth doesn't grow in a straight line. It grows in a curve. A slow, almost invisible curve at the beginning. And then, at some point, it bends hard. And the person who understood that curve from the start, they're playing a completely different game than everyone else. Let me show you with a simple example.
Meet two people, John and Engel, both 25 years old, both earning the same salary, both saving $1,000 every month. John thinks about saving like most people do. He checks his balance every week. When it hits $5,000, he feels good. When markets dip and it drops to $4,700, he feels terrible. Every month is an emotional battle. And around month 18, something happens. His car breaks down. He needs $3,000. He pulls from savings. He's back near zero. He feels defeated. He slows down. He tells himself he'll restart next year. Sound familiar? Now, Engel does something different. She doesn't check her balance every week. She automates her $1,000 transfer on the first of every month. And instead of thinking about the number, she thinks about the system. She tells herself, my only job is to protect the system. Same income, same savings rate, but completely different outcomes over time. Here's why. Psychologists call it loss aversion. We feel the pain of losing money roughly twice as strongly as we feel the pleasure of gaining the same amount. So when Engel's $5,000 dipped to $4,700, her brain registered a loss, pain, doubt. Is this even worth it? Her brain started looking for reasons to stop. Engel had built a wall between her emotions and her money, and that wall protected her compound interest from the most dangerous threat to wealth, herself. Now here's where it gets interesting. Let's look at what actually happens at different savings milestones.
At $10,000 saved, your money earns you roughly $700 a year at 7% average returns. That's about $58 a month, barely a dinner out. At $50,000, you're earning around $3,500 a year. That's $290 a month, starting to feel more real. At $100,000, something quietly shifts. You're now earning around $7,000 a year from your investments alone. That's $583 a month, working for you, while you sleep, while you're at work, while you're on vacation. But at $200,000, you're earning roughly $14,000 a year. That's over $1,100 every single month, generated entirely by money you already saved. Not from your job, not from working harder, from the system you built. And here's the thing most people miss. That $1,100 per month gets reinvested, which means next year your base is bigger, which means you earn even more. which means the year after that, you earn even more than that. This is the bend in the curve. This is where the staircase turns into an escalator. The first $200,000 is the hardest because you're building the engine. But once the engine is running at full power, it starts pulling you forward. You're no longer pushing, you're riding. But here's the psychological shift that nobody talks about. It's not just your bank account that changes at $200,000. It's you.
There's a concept in psychology called financial identity. It basically means the way you see yourself in relation to money. And most people, even people who earn good salaries, still see themselves as someone who needs to work for every rupee. Someone whose financial security depends entirely on showing up to work tomorrow. Below $200,000, that's basically true. One bad month, one job loss, one medical emergency, and the floor disappears beneath you. But somewhere around that $200,000 mark, something shifts in how you carry yourself. You start making decisions from a place of security rather than scarcity. You don't panic when your company announces restructuring. You don't take the first job offer that comes your way out of desperation. You don't stay in relationships, professional or personal, purely out of financial fear. Money stops being a source of anxiety, and it quietly becomes a source of options. And options? Options change everything. Here's a research insight that will stick with you. A study published in the journal Science found that financial scarcity, the constant worry about not having enough money, actually reduces cognitive capacity. Not metaphorically, literally. The mental bandwidth consumed by money stress is equivalent to losing roughly 13 IQ points. Think about that. When you're stressed about money, you are literally thinking slower, making worse decisions, missing opportunities. Not because you're not smart, but because your brain is already running a constant background program called "How do I survive this month?" This is why financial stress is so hard to escape. The stress itself makes you worse at the decisions that would reduce the stress. But the reverse is also true. When you cross that threshold where your money starts working harder than your fear, when you genuinely know that even if things go sideways, you have a real cushion, your brain frees up, your decisions get sharper, your confidence shows up differently in rooms. You take the calculated risk on the better opportunity. You negotiate harder. You think long term. $200,000 isn't just a number in a brokerage account. It's freedom from the invisible tax of financial anxiety. So what do you actually do with this? First, stop treating savings like sacrifice. Every rupee you save before $200,000 is not a rupee you're losing. It's a brick you're laying for an engine that will eventually work harder than you do. Reframe it that way. Second, automate ruthlessly. The biggest enemy of building wealth isn't your salary. It isn't inflation. It's your emotions showing up on a bad market day and making a decision you'll regret for years. Remove the decision entirely. Automate. Set it. Protect the system. Third, don't optimize for speed at the cost of sustainability. People who try to cut everything and save 70% of their income often burn out and quit entirely. A savings rate you can maintain for 10 years beats a savings rate you quit after 10 months. Every time. Fourth, think in terms of money earning money. Every time you're about to make a large unnecessary purchase, don't just think about the price tag. Think about what that money could earn over 10 years if it were invested instead. A $5,000 impulse purchase today is roughly $10,000 to $14,000 in 10 years sitting in an index fund. That reframe alone will change how you spend. And fifth, understand that $200,000 is not the destination. It's the ignition point. It's where the game changes. The people who understand this don't get complacent when they hit it. They get curious. Because now they've seen the curve bend with their own eyes, and they know exactly what happens if they just keep going. Here's the thought I want to leave you with. Most people spend their entire lives trading time for money. Wake up, work, earn, spend, repeat, and they assume that's just how it works. That's just the deal.
But the $200,000 milestone is proof that the deal can change.
Because at $200,000, money starts trading its time for your money. And the longer you let it run, the harder it works. The people who figured this out didn't necessarily earn more than you. They didn't have some secret advantage. They just understood the curve early enough to respect it. They treated every dollar saved in their 20s not as a sacrifice, but as a future business partner who would eventually work for free. You don't need to be rich to start. You just need to start early enough that time can do the heavy lifting. Because the best time to plant this tree was 10 years ago. The second best time is right now. If this changed how you think about money, share it with one person who needs to hear it. And if you want more videos on building real wealth with a normal salary, subscribe. We're just getting started.